One wrong move in the morning could burst a blood vessel in your brain. Imagine this, it's early morning. You've just opened your eyes. Maybe the sunlight is peeking through the curtains, and your first thought is, time to get up and start the day. You stretch, maybe yawn, and instinctively begin your routine. Getting out of bed, walking to the sink, washing your face, or grabbing a broom to sweep the floor. It all feels so normal. But what if I told you that this seemingly harmless moment, those first 10 minutes after waking, could actually be the most dangerous part of your entire day? For older adults, especially those over 60, one wrong movement first thing in the morning can lead to a stroke, a blood vessel rupture, or even death without any warning. That's not an exaggeration. Neurologists have long known that many cases of brain hemorrhage or sudden strokes occur in the early morning hours, and in many of those cases, the trigger was not stress or disease, but something as simple as bending down to wash your feet, standing up too quickly, or twisting your neck the wrong way. Why does this happen? Because after 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your blood pressure is unstable, your blood may be more viscous, and your brain isn't fully oxygenated. Any sudden change in posture, especially involving the neck, head, or chest, can disturb blood flow to the brain or put pressure on fragile blood vessels. Now let's dive into 5 common morning movements that can silently increase the risk of stroke or brain hemorrhage in older adults, and how small changes in your routine can save your life. First, sudden neck movements after waking up. Many people, the moment they wake up, stretch and twist their necks to shake off stiffness. You might feel a crack or even a momentary relief in your shoulders. But if you're over 60, these quick, jerky movements can be extremely risky. Why? Because the arteries that run along the sides and back of your neck, especially the vertebral arteries, are responsible for carrying blood directly to the brain. After a night of lying still, your circulation is slower, and your blood vessels are less elastic. If you suddenly twist your neck or tilt your head backward sharply, it can cause a temporary blockage or even tear in these arteries. This leads to reduced blood supply to your brain, or worse, a mini stroke or full-blown stroke. Some early signs: dizziness, blurry vision, nausea, or that strange moment when you feel like the world is tilting. Don't ignore those. They may not be just a moment of imbalance. They could be your brain crying out for oxygen. The solution? Start your morning slowly and gently. When you wake up, don't jump out of bed. Sit up, take a few deep breaths, and gently turn your head side to side, slowly, as if you're testing ice. Never force a stretch or twist. Think of your neck as the bridge to your brain. Would you yank on a bridge held by aging cables? Neither should you yank on your own. Second, standing up too quickly from bed. You've heard of people fainting when they get out of bed too fast. But what most don't realize is that this fainting is not just about getting up too quickly. It's often a sign that your brain was momentarily starved of blood. As we sleep, especially during deep sleep, our heart rate slows down and blood pools in the lower half of the body. The body's baroreflex, the system that helps regulate blood pressure when we stand up, becomes slower with age. So when you jump out of bed in one quick motion, your heart doesn't pump fast enough to push blood up to your brain. The result? Dizziness, blurred vision, blackouts, and in some cases, transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, or what doctors call mini strokes. Worse yet, if you already have high blood pressure, diabetes, or any form of cardiovascular disease, this sudden drop in cerebral blood flow can trigger a chain reaction: clot formation, vessel damage, or even vessel rupture. What should you do instead? Take 30 seconds to transition from lying down to standing. Sit up first. Move your toes and fingers to stimulate circulation. Take a few slow breaths. Then place your feet on the floor, stand up slowly, and give your body a moment to adjust. This tiny delay could prevent a serious fall, or worse, a stroke. 3. Bending down at the sink with your head too low. brushing your teeth, washing your face. Two of the most routine things we all do every single morning. But have you ever noticed how many people, especially older adults, bend down so low that their head is below their heart? That position may feel like nothing, but it dramatically increases pressure in the head and neck area, especially if you're holding your breath or tensing your abdominal muscles at the same time. This added pressure can cause microvessels in the brain to burst, especially in those with fragile capillaries or undiagnosed aneurysms. A study from Taiwan observed a significant rise in morning cerebral hemorrhages that occurred shortly after household tasks like face washing or brushing teeth in bent posture. Often the person didn't even realize something had gone wrong until they felt a headache, nausea, or loss of coordination later in the day. How to fix it? Keep your head level with your heart. Raise the basin or stand with your knees slightly bent and your back straight. Support yourself with one hand while brushing or washing. Never rush, and never hold your breath while bending. Let each action flow with your breathing, because your brain is not designed to take pressure spikes before breakfast. Fourth, reaching high or twisting suddenly to grab something. It might sound harmless, reaching up to grab a shirt from a hanger, turning your body quickly to pick up a dropped towel, or twisting your back while sweeping. But for aging blood vessels, these movements can be just as dangerous as lifting weights. Why? Because sudden twisting or stretching, especially in the upper back or shoulders, can trigger a spike in blood pressure. This is especially risky for people with atherosclerosis, a condition where arteries are narrowed and stiff due to plaque buildup. These vessels don't expand well under pressure. When you suddenly twist or reach, your muscles contract, your chest tightens, and blood pressure can surge within seconds, potentially causing small vessel rupture in the brain. And here's something many people don't realize. When you stretch upward first thing in the morning, especially on an empty stomach and without warming up, your brain may not receive adequate oxygen. That combination of oxygen drop plus pressure surge is the perfect storm for a stroke. The key? Warm up your body gently before doing any task that involves reaching, twisting, or bending. Use slow-flowing motions. Rotate your shoulders, wiggle your fingers, loosen your hips before you stretch. Think of your body like an old machine. Warm oil first, then move the gears. Your blood vessels will thank you. 5. Coughing forcefully, sneezing hard, or holding your breath during tasks. It sounds strange, but yes, even a forceful cough, a loud sneeze, or holding your breath while lifting a bucket can lead to brain vessel rupture. This is called the Valsalva maneuver, where you increase pressure in your chest and abdomen, often without realizing it. This pressure doesn't just stay in your lungs. It travels up to your neck and skull, where it can burst small vessels, especially in people with high blood pressure or weak arteries. A 72-year-old woman in Korea suffered a sudden brain hemorrhage right after sneezing while bent over. Her only prior symptom? A slight headache she ignored for weeks. You may think it's just a sneeze, but for some people, one wrong breath hold is all it takes. So what's the better way? Don't suppress sneezes or coughs. Don't hold your breath while doing chores. If you need to sneeze, do it in a relaxed, upright position. If you're lifting something, exhale as you move. Never tighten your breath and push against your chest. These small changes are like hidden safety nets for your brain. The most dangerous thing about these morning movements is that they seem so innocent, so ordinary, so familiar. But for older adults, especially those over 60, routine doesn't mean safe. Your blood vessels age silently. You may not feel the weakening, the thinning, or the tiny cracks forming, until one day with just one twist, one stretch, or one rise from bed, it all breaks. And yet the power is still in your hands. You don't need expensive medicine. You don't need complicated routines. You just need to slow down, breathe, move mindfully, respect your body's age and its limits. Let the first 10 minutes of your morning be the most gentle ones. In those quiet moments, when the world hasn't started rushing, you have the rare chance to protect your most precious organ, your brain. Not by fighting, but by flowing gently with each motion. Because in the end, living long isn't just about strength, it's about wisdom. And wisdom begins with how you rise.